What's happening? You know what I'm saying? What's going on, people? How y'all been? You know my face. You seen my face 2 days ago, or a day, not even 2 days ago, a day or two ago. But it's me, your gracious host, Jalen, and welcome back to the Lazy Cast. Hope you guys. Well, I didn't even talk about it in the last episode, last video, I should say. That was the first ever like one off or whatever you want to say. I wanted to make it at full part episode, but throughout the episode, I kept saying I was just gonna title it "Learn to Appreciate Greatness" with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, yada yada. So with monumental moments like that and stuff like that, I'll probably just do more one-offs and stuff like that. I eventually was gonna make it an episode, episode 21, because this was gonna be 22 and whatever. But just leave it. Anyway, this is my opinion or thoughts of the NBA trade deadline, which is totally not late and very very behind. But yeah, obviously, if you didn't know, now you know. Uh, I was out of town, came back, was working the day the trade deadline was happening, recording, and they were talking about it on live and on air and shit like that. So kind of sat on this for a little bit. Not because I just didn't know what to say. I just sat on it because it was other stuff that I was trying to do, and Super Bowl and all that, blah blah blah. But here to give my 2 cents again. This probably is also might going to be on. This probably is going to be another one off, if I'm being honest, just for the simple fact that this one is so far behind. But before we even get into it, a couple things I need y'all to do: like, comment, subscribe, turn on them post notices, just for me and for my two guys back here, or really for one of my guys, because it's just an ugly version of me. But yeah, man, hopefully you guys have been enjoying this day. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying me being more active and, being, I guess, more consistent. And that's just one thing that I want to do with y'all. And, make me feel like a winner. If it'll work, 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 if it'll work. This fucking BBL thumb is gross. I honestly think it's because of this. I honestly think it's because of my thumb, if I'm being honest. I think that's what's fucking it up, is my thumb. The screen cannot register if this is a thumb or not. We're just gonna do this one. What? Okay. Anyway. We're gonna talk about the winners of the trade deadline. And the biggest two winners that I think everyone in their mama know about was the Mavs and the New York Knicks. And I haven't, again, prior to me being out of town for a week, I haven't really talked a lot of basketball, but I have been keeping up with a lot of basketball. And prior to really the new year, the Knicks last year, were very bad. They were a middle of the road team offensively, okay. Defensively was, I think, bottom of the barrel. And now once they got the OG Anunoby, which wasn't part of the trade deadline, but still talking about trades in a sense, they got OG Anunoby, came in phenomenal. Even though he's hurt right now, I highly doubt he'll drop off that fucking far. And they went from being like a mediocre to bad defensive team to being the best defensive team in the entire league. And I believe that they are still currently like the fourth seed, if I'm right. So yeah, it's interesting to see what the Knicks, shout out Jalen Brunson. He's been playing at an MVP caliber level. And also with the MVP, again, didn't get a chance to talk about Joel Embiid. I'm not gonna do it now because that's way too old of news. But with Joel Embiid, most likely going to miss the 65 game mark and things of that nature. The MVP is essentially wide open for, well, I say essentially like wide open, but even though when you look at MVP polls and articles and shit like that, Jokic is running away with this thing. And I'm not surprised, but I'm also kind of shocked that it's not a little bit closer. But that's a video for a totally another day. That's a video for another day. So, with that being said, the winners of the draft, not draft, the trade deadline, excuse me, were 100% two teams that desperately needed to make these moves, and two teams. I need to really I hate that it automatically does. It goes to that. Can I move it over? No. Anyway, it automatically goes to the two teams being the New York Knicks and the Dallas Mavericks. And just to speak on the Mavs, just to speak on the trades and teams that I thought did things that they were supposed to do, you got Mavs getting PJ Washington as well as moving off of Grant Williams, even though I was a little bit of a bigger fan of Grant Williams than a lot of other people. But obviously, I'm not in Dallas, so I'm not with some motherfuckers. Apparently, he was just rubbing niggas the wrong way, so he got booted. PJ Washington, obviously, and then also on top of that, even though the trade is in here, they got Daniel Gafford from the Wizards, two very, very solid big men that the Mavs desperately needed. I think we've all seen the Kyle Kuzma thing or heard the Kyle Kuzma thing, where essentially the Wizards came to Kyle like, "Yo, where you want to go? You want to go to Dallas? We'll ship you to Dallas." And essentially, they probably would have shipped him with Daniel Gafford to Dallas. Probably Dallas would have to give up a little bit more, but whatever. They probably would have shipped Kuzma and Gafford to Dallas together. And Kyle was like, "Nah, I want to stay and build something," which is very interesting. But yeah, so Mavs got PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford. Sixers got Buddy Hield. I seen a lot of Sixers friends that weren't that happy with this. I've seen some people be happy for this, and then I've seen some people be kind of hesitant with this. And while yes, Joel, we really don't know the timetable for Joel Embiid and how long he'll be out. We just know that his knee is getting surgery, some type of surgery on his left knee. And yeah, it's really just need to get that figured out. So a lot of people were saying that they should have um went out and got a backup big for Joel, so he doesn't have that much pressure on him, and he doesn't have to facilitate and do so much. But they also did get Kyle Lowry. Also, wasn't part of the trade deadline, but also was part of the buyout and a whole other stuff. So the Sixers essentially got Buddy Hield and Kyle Lowry. So it's interesting because you have two people essentially that can essentially help Joel and Tyrese Maxey as well. Um, with Buddy and his shooting, obviously Kyle Lowry coming off the bench with that bench unit, being a good floor general and things of that nature. Um, I honestly thought they should have moved off Tobias Harris. I understand why they wouldn't, but I felt it probably if there's any other time to do it, it probably would have been last week when they should moving off that man. I honestly thought they should have moved off Tobias, but I don't know. But yeah, I don't necessarily hate this. I would say this is good because the Sixers do need some type of floor spacing for whenever Joel does get back. Um, it's not up there. But if you want to add the Kyle Lowry thing into this, even with the Kyle Lowry pickup, I don't even think this moves the needle for them too much. Just for the simple fact that this team goes as far as Joel Embiid goes. So the Suns added Royce O'Neal and a 3-team trade. Again, not too much you can really talk about. A solid 3-and-D guy for the Suns off the bench. Thunder adding Gordon Hayward. This was a very big winner. Obviously, you won't see it in the thumbnail, but ironically enough, I made two separate thumbnails. I made two separate thumbnails. One with the Mavs and the Bulls for the winners and the losers, and then obviously the one that y'all gonna see with the Knicks and LeBron, with the Knicks and Jalen Brunson and the Lakers and LeBron. But yeah, if I was to make a third one, the Thunder would definitely be on there because getting Gordon Hayward and not really giving up too much outside of maybe Trey Mann, who has been producing for them, which I can't lie. Trey Mann, he's been balling right now in Charlotte, so shout out to Trey Mann. He's been balling. But this is a very good veteran piece for the Thunder for them to have going forward, especially come playoff time. Because while yes, they are currently the second seed because they just got lapped by Minnesota, if I believe, because Minnesota just beat Portland. So I think Minnesota just took the number one spot in the West. So yeah, this is a really good trade for them. I think this we'll see the effects of this come playoff time. So Gordon Hayward is still going to be Gordon Hayward. He'll probably give you a solid 15, maybe 16 off the bench. Essentially, be the real leader for that team, for that second unit coming off the bench. But I really think that we're going to see the the appeal or the positivity of this trade come playoff time because when the Thunder, a very young team, mind you, this Thunder team is not very old. You have a veteran like a Gordon Hayward who's been in playoffs, who's been in those type of situations, who's been around the game for a very very long time. Is really going to be able to help this team come playoff time. So I'm very excited for this team. Obviously for the Thunder going forward. Probably the biggest winners of the trade deadline was getting Bogdan Bogdanovic and also Alec Burks. Was the New York Knicks. The Knicks, on top of having a OG Anunoby, Mitchell Robinson, still don't know the timetable for him, but whenever he comes back, I think it'll be solid for this team. I have a little tangent, I guess you could say. I'm going the Knicks. A little tangent, I guess you could say, going on the Knicks that I wanted to talk about. The Knicks are an interesting case, are an interesting team, just for the simple fact of I. How can I say this? When I was talking to a cool or some people, just talking about favorites, title contender favorites and stuff like that, and someone brought up the Knicks, and I was hesitant to really just say, nah, fuck that. The Knicks is gonna be Knicks. But when you really sit down and really look at this team, just just look at what they have. You have a hard nosed coach in Tom Thibodeau, a defensive minded coach, and obviously it shows one of the best defensive teams in the league right now. Was on a 9 game winning streak until they lost to the Lakers. Um, all in all, just a very good team. And then you have the defensive pieces of OG Anunoby, of a Mitchell Robinson, and you also have the scoring coming off the bench with Josh Hart, who also is very good defensively. Dante DiVincenzo, Alec Burks, who's probably going to come off the bench. Bogdan Bogdanovic, who's start whether or not, and then obviously Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. But the thing that scares me the most about this Knicks team is that this is probably going to be one of their really like true windows to win if they like, and I'm not saying win it all because I don't think that they will win it all. The ceiling for this team, for in me, in my humble opinion, would be the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't think they get past whether it be Boston or whether it be Milwaukee because they're gonna have to go through one of those two teams, whether it be in the second round or whether it be in the Eastern Conference Finals. So, with that being said, I need to see what this team looks like in the playoffs. In particular, I need to see what Julius Randle looks like in this playoffs because he's also hurt right now. But I need to see what this team looks like in the playoffs because this team on paper can be scary. On paper, this team is very scary, and I excuse me, and yeah, I just it's this. Ironically enough, Jalen Brunson is the best player on this team. I don't think that's up for debate. But this team goes as far as Julius Randle takes them. So Julius Randle, OG can be having a great game. Mitchell can be locking down the paint defensively. It'll get them past the first round. I don't think that's. I think this team is too talented and just too good and well coached that they won't be able to get past the first round. It's that second round that scares me because the East is so top heavy that the Knicks are going to face whether it be Boston, whether it be Milwaukee, whether it be the Sixers, who will probably have a healthy Joel Embiid by then. Hell, get it upset, and they probably have to face Miami. You're gonna have to face one of these very tough ass teams, and if not Joel Embiid, Julius Randle is not playing at an all-star caliber level, or even just playing at the solid starter level, this team is not gonna go far. I'm just calling it right now. So that's just a little tangent I wanted to go on with the Knicks. But I like the Knicks though. I'm very interested to see what this team does going forward in the future because they really didn't give up much outside of Evan Fournier, who I don't think was playing like that really for the Knicks, and Quinn Grimes, who is cool. They really didn't give up much. Two second, two future second round picks and some money, and four players that they weren't really using outside of maybe Grimes and Fournier. They really, really did not give up much. So obviously the biggest winners of the day. If I can I give them a thumbs up? Let me give them. There it is. The biggest winners of the trade deadline. I don't think anybody would disagree with me. Would have been the Knicks. Going forward, we have obviously some other signings with the Schroeder and Dinwiddie swap. Essentially, the Nets and the Raptors swapping players, and then Dinwiddie being waived, and then now he's with the Lakers. So, I mean, I really don't understand this trade, but it happened. Oops, that was interesting. The Bucks got Patrick Beverly, Mavs and the Thunder swap picks. Celtics did some things. Blazers did some things. This was a Daniel Gafford trade that I was telling y'all about earlier. Lopez, Kelly Olynyk went to the Raptors. Uh, Eddie House. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. But as I continuously go down and 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 down, there's two teams that are not. Oh, and Terry Rozier went to the Hornets. There are two teams that are not in this trade in particular, and that would be the Los Angeles Lakers and the Chicago Bulls. Now, with those two teams in particular, I think they have two different reasons why they didn't make moves. One simply couldn't, and one simply just did not want to. I'll let you guess which is which before I even say it. Spoiler alert, the Lakers couldn't make trades. The Bulls simply just didn't want to do anything. End of story. No, but the biggest losers of the trade deadline is 100%, 1,000% the Lakers and the Bulls. Now, I watched a YouTube video. Shout out Legend and Winning. Shout out Love when he was talking about essentially why the Lakers simply just couldn't make any moves. Just for the simple fact of a couple things. I'm not gonna summarize the whole video, but just to cut it short, he talked about not being really to utilize any of the draft picks. They can really only send out one until the offseason where they're actually able to use multiple draft picks. Two, coaching, because Darvin Ham, even if they were to go get, say, a Zach LaVine, they would go get a DeJounte Murray. The team already is struggling trying to utilize a LeBron James and an Anthony Davis. What good would it do if you just add a third star in there just for him to not get utilized even more? Makes no sense. And even when the trade deadline was coming up, I didn't want the Lakers to go get a Klay Thompson or to go get a DeJounte Murray. I didn't want them to go get a Zach LaVine. I think I said this very, very early on, but before even the trade deadline even happened, like this was months ago, I said, I forgot what video it was. I'll look and see if I can find it. But I remember I was saying the Bulls and the Lakers need to just swap. You need to just swap. Send D'Lo and whoever else you want to fucking send to Chicago, and send Caruso back to LA. That's what I thought the Lakers would. That's what I thought the Lakers were going to do, honestly. And it was looking like that was going to be the case because the Bulls were making it evident, like, yo, everyone outside of Kobe White and probably Ayo Dosunmu, and maybe Pat Will, everyone is take anybody. DeMar, you're gone. Zach, you're gone. Drummond, you're gone. Caruso, you're gone. And that's how it was looking coming to the trade deadline. And obviously didn't happen. Um, But I was on record saying this months ago that I thought the Lakers would have been a lot better trying to go get Alex Caruso, getting a Bogdanovich, getting a Daniel Gafford, getting a PJ Washington or something like that. But obviously they didn't do anything. And I don't think it's to the fault of them. It's just for the simple fact of the teams that they probably wanted to go after. So say if they probably wanted to go get Alex Caruso, Chicago probably was just asking for too fucking much. And going back to earlier, they only had the one pick that they had. They were able to dish out. And it's not until the offseason that they're able to use multiple picks. But the Lakers only had that one, I think it's like 2025 or 2026 type ass pick or some shit. So I mean, it is what it is, man. And Rob Pelinka on Twitter came out literally, I think he came out after the draft. He was like, you can't buy a house. You can't what did he say? Something like you can't buy a house that isn't on sale or some shit like that. Which pretty much sums up the whole trade deadline for the Lakers. So I mean, it is what it is. I think I think to me their biggest issue is coaching more than anything. Yes, the roster isn't the greatest, but I think you still can do something with that roster. Um and with you got people like Kendrick Perkins and all of them on ESPN talking about that the Lakers are trying to get a legit star come the offseason. So that's probably why they didn't make any trades or anything like that during the trade deadline, which I think is cap. I think it's bullshit. I think the Lakers did wanted to make trades or did try to acquire someone like Alex Caruso, like a Bogdanovich, whatever the case may be. Just for the simple fact that the asking price for those players probably was just too fucking much, and they just couldn't do it. It's just like, all right, bro, you're pulling my hairs out. I can't give you what you want, so we're just gonna cut it here. Um, but yeah, it is what it is. Now for the Bulls, for the team that simply just did not make trades, did not move the assets that they moved, and Kenny Beecham, king of the fourth quarter, shout out to him. He essentially summed up the entire thing of just being a Bulls fan. I'm not a Bulls fan, but I know a lot of Bulls fans, obviously being from Chicago. And the ones that know basketball were very upset. Were very, 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 very upset. And the last time that the Bulls have traded or made a trade was 2021. 2021. Mind you, if just look at your phone, look at your calendar, look at whatever, we're all the way in 2024. And the Bulls have a very bad habit of doing two things. Not making free agent signings. Their biggest free agent signing that they just had was DeMar DeRozan and not Zach LaVine, Lonzo Ball. That was their biggest free agent signing that they made in a very long time. Then before that was fucking Vucevic at the trade deadline. Um, but yeah, it's weird with this team. Just for the simple fact of come before, like really, honestly, the month before trade deadline, like January, the Bulls are making an appearance. Like Caruso is most likely gonna be gone. DeMar is probably gonna be gone. Vooch probably gonna be gone. Vooch not probably gonna be gone because they just extended him. But Zach, his ass is probably gone. Um I don't know, man. It's weird. It's weird with them because it's like the front office is like they're scared to be wrong. And I think or they're scared to how can I say this? They're scared to be looked at as like essentially the losers of the trade deadline, which to no trade is better than a bad trade. And I understand that type of a notion that people were saying, well, no trade is better than no trades are better than a bad trade. I understand that. But when you have the type of roster that you have and the type of status that you guys are in or the type of role that you guys are in, The Bulls currently are sitting at like around 500, I believe a game or two under 500. So at best, they are a 9-8 seed. At best, they will be a playing team. At best, they will probably lose that playing game. Or at best, if they win that playing game and move on to be the 8th or 7th seed, they're not beating Milwaukee. They're not beating Boston. They're not beating fucking Philly. They're not beating any of those top heavy teams that I was talking about earlier. So it's essentially just another season wasted. So it makes zero sense for you not to move off the assets that you have, especially somebody like Alex Caruso, who his stock hasn't been this high since he won the championship back in LA. And just for the simple fact that now he's on an expiring contract come next year. So his stock is going to go down. He can play out of his fucking mind, but his stock is just simply going to go down regardless. You have someone like DeMar DeRozan who they tried to extend. He said no because the money wasn't right. So now come the offseason, the one of two things are going to happen. They're either A, going to extend him for an absurd amount of money, and DeMar DeRozan, mind you, is not young. I mean, it's like 34 or 5-ish. Or two, they're going to let him walk for jack shit. Same thing with Zach LaVine. I understand he's hurt right now. But even still, he's going to walk for nothing. DeMar is most likely going to walk for nothing, or he's going to get an absurd amount of money. He's going to get a contract extension, and they're going to be paying him till he's in his late 30s. Now, unless you just want a veteran piece on your team, then by all means do it. But don't give him an absurd amount of money to do it. Keep that nigga on the vet max. But the thing is, DeMar DeRozan is not going to want to take that. Obviously, I tried to extend him, and the nigga said no. So it's like, you got up. He's not asking for less money. If he says no, that means he's asking for more money. So I don't know what that means. But yeah, you have a young core that you can build around in a Kobe White and an Ayo Dosunmu and a Dalen Terry and Pat Wade if you don't move off him, which I think you should have been moved off him. But you have all these young pieces and then just say, fuck it. We're just gonna build through the draft and just rebuild. And the thing is, it's not that fans aren't gonna want to see this. Bulls fans want to see progress. Again, this is coming from a non-Bulls fan. I work for the Windy City Bulls, the G League team for the Chicago Bulls. But this is coming from a non-Bulls fan, but someone who's been around Chicago Bulls sports since I can remember. Since and being the most relevant memory being the old D Rose years, and fuck it, even the Ben Gordon years and the Tyrese Thomas years in the late 2000s going into 2010s. So that's when I really started to like pay attention to the Bulls. I was never a Bulls like diehard fan, but I paid attention to them. And the thing is of just being around Chicago, Bulls fans want progress, especially with the new front office. Obviously, Lonzo and DeMar and Zach and Vooch didn't work out. Lonzo's hurt. Zach is hurt. Vooch and DeMar obviously at bare minimum is going to get you a play-in spot. But what team is just wanting to consistently be a play-in team, especially when you have a Kobe White who's emerging and most likely going to be most improved. You have a Ayo Dosunmu who's starting to come into his own, is actually playing really well. You have a Dalen Terry who's starting to get comfortable and to come in his own and starting to play really well with extra minutes now. So you have all these young pieces and players that are actually starting to produce. So please don't pull a Warriors Bulls. Don't do a Warriors where y'all niggas want to still compete, but still be young at the same time. You can't do that. You really can't. You can't. No, I can't think of the last team that I've ever seen to do that and be successful. To where they try to still compete for a championship, but also try to rebuild at the same time. The Warriors have shown you the blueprint to say, hey, don't do this. It will fail. It will fail. So if I'm the Chicago Bulls, if I'm the GM, obviously it's too late now because the trade deadline is come and gone. So you still just gotta roll out the roster that you got and just say, fuck it, we ball. We just gonna try and play for a playing spot. But come this off season, as painful as it is, as much as it's probably gonna suck, you gotta let DeMar walk. Zach most likely is gone. I'm not bringing back any of these older dudes. I'm just rolling out the ball for the young niggas. If I'm rolling out the ball for the young niggas, I'm being honest. Kobe White is your team now. Lonzo, if he comes back, hey, a backcourt of Kobe and Lonzo, go crazy. AC, Caruso, I'm not gonna lie, you might get moved this offseason. Not might, you most likely will be. I'm Drummond, bye bye, buddy. Drummond should have, if anything, Drummond should have got moved. That shit blew my fucking mind. Drummond, who was playing phenomenal, he should have been got moved. Like, I don't understand why they didn't move that nigga. But, and the thing is, I don't dislike, I'm not saying this because I think these players are bad. I'm saying this because these players are playing better than usual. Alex Caruso, this is his best period that he's had playing as a Bull. Drummond is playing very well. DeMar is DeMar. Like, if you don't move off of a Zach, a DeMar, or even, whatever, a Pat Will, you still have two solid role players in the Alex Caruso and the Andre Drummond to where y'all could got something back, whether it been picks, whether it been a player, whether it been another young player, it didn't matter. Y'all could have got something back. So, I mean, is what it is. Um, Going forward, uh, the Bulls, again, the Bulls fans, Bulls front office, the Warriors have shown y'all the blueprint of trying to compete while also trying to stay young at the same time. That shit does not work. It won't work. So you gotta do one or two things: compete fully, like go full on, compete and try to win, or you just go fully young and you just rebuild mode. And newsflash, y'all tried to compete and it didn't work. Lonzo got hurt. At best, when y'all was at y'all peak, y'all was a top 4, top 3 seed come All-Star break. But it didn't work out. Y'all got bounced out in the first round against the Bucks. After that year, that really should have been the year. It was like, all right, we tried it, didn't work. We could probably do it one more year, but after that, we got to go. But nevertheless, that's really just my thoughts on. I guess that's just my thoughts really on the trade deadline as a whole. And Compton is just. I'm not saying that the Lakers tried to make moves, but simply no one was just making offers or just letting them really make offers. So Rob Pelinka can't make a trade that isn't there, or you can't force a team to give him a player that, or force them to give up assets that they simply just don't have access to, or simply just don't have. So, with that being said, also another loser that I thought of just now would be the Warriors. The Warriors, even though now, yes, they have Klay Thompson coming off the bench, which they should have been done a long time ago. I still think they should have moved Klay. I don't think Klay should. I thought I should have moved Klay by now. Um, I don't. I don't think. I don't think that trio of Draymond, Klay, and Steph can work anymore. And that sounds crazy because they just won a championship back in 2022. But that was when they had actual depth. Players were playing to their abilities or playing even above their abilities when they had young players that was actually performing well in the Jordan Poole and a fucking Andrew Wiggins. Wiggins is on the bench. Poole is not even in Golden State anymore. And Draymond, who's been playing solid, I can't, as much as people want to rag on Draymond, Draymond's been playing out of his fucking mind lately. But also Draymond, who has his issues. And then Klay Thompson, outside of that, his last game where he just dropped 35, he's been struggling a lot. So, and Steph, who's been up and down all season long because he's, you know, 30 fucking 5 and doing his best LeBron impersonation of trying to carry this team. But it's only so much you can do. But yeah, I thought they should have moved off Clay. I thought they should have moved off Clay. Honestly, with Mike Dunleavy, it's kind of they're kind of in the same boat as with the Bulls. Is that but the difference between I think they're kind of in the same boat with the Bulls is that they don't want to make them wrong. They don't want to be wrong, but they don't want to be essentially looked at as the losers. But and use that mentality of no trade is better than a bad trade. Well, yeah, in a sense, is right. And for the Warriors, they have a more deeper rooted problem compared to the Bulls. Is that the Bulls they have just assets that they just didn't want to move, while the Warriors have the loyalty ties and a Klay Thompson who's been there his whole career, Draymond Green who's been there his whole career. Two players that have won you championships and championships and championships and things of that nature. So I thought they should have moved off Klay. I think we need to normalize moving off players after you win championships because they should have moved off Klay in 2022. But I think that should be normalized, moving off players or moving off coaches or whatever the case may be after you win the championship. Because I know it sounds crazy. It was like, oh, we just won with this team. Why would we move a piece? But it's like, in the Warriors case, Klay should have been out of there. Or whether it been Draymond. But I say you move Klay and keep Draymond because even in that series, Klay was showing signs of regression. He was not playing his usual game 6 Klay self. When it came to Draymond, offensively, you know what he's gonna do, but defensively, he's still one of the best. Not just big, not just bigs in terms of defense, but he's still one of the best defenders in this league. So, boom. This is most likely going to be on one off. Now that I think about it, because it's kind of short, but whatever. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is essentially just my thoughts on the winners and losers of the trade deadline. Again, just wanted to get this out there and just get my thoughts on there. With tomorrow being UFC 298, I'm trying to see. Do I just give my predictions? I don't want to just make like a short video or just giving my predictions. Actually, I'm probably after this. I'm probably just gonna do my predictions and just look at the main card and give my predictions. That's what I'll do. After this, I'm gonna record for 298. But 298 gonna be essentially talking about that. There's no football. It's gonna be weird this Sunday, so I'm actually gonna be able to record on Sundays because there's gonna be no football, which is so weird. But yeah, so there'll be Sundays and Mondays too, because there's no Monday night football. So damn, that's so weird now. It's gonna be so that's gonna be so weird. Excuse me. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this little one-off that I did. Maybe let me know if I should do more of these. Obviously people like the longer episodes, the longer hour, whatever the case may be, episodes, shit like that. But let me know if you guys like these little shorter 30-minute, 20-minute episodes, 40-minute episodes, or one-offs, as I'm gonna just start calling them. And if I should do more of these and do that. But anyway, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, things of that nature, post notice. That's Bitmoji me, that's Grogu in the back. And this is real me. I've been your gracious old Jalen. Hope you guys have enjoyed. And I will see you guys later. If I can get this to go. I should really like boom. Boom. Come on. Come on. It's the BBL though, man. It's the BBL though, man. Don't fuck with the BBL though, man. But anyway, hope you guys enjoy. If I can get this, let me see if I can get these balloons. There it is. Woo! Second one off done. I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm trying to see. Yeah, I'll see y'all tomorrow. I'll record 298 tomorrow. Bye bye.